which was the imperial system of measurement in different things such as length, capacity, and weight. Right now, it's the metric system. The metric system is the more widely used system in the world, essentially. Or at least on Earth. Because who knows, maybe the aliens use something different. Now we have metric units of length. So 10 millimeters is a centimeter. We usually start with talking about centimeters. This is a centimeter. The part that's sticking out. This is my hand for comparison. And this is 2 centimeters. This is also my hand for comparison. I know, centimeters are much smaller than inches, but the units conversion into bigger units is, well, easier, which you will see a few sections later. There's also the meter, which is 100 centimeters. And that's this long. There's also the kilometer, which is 1,000 meters. So it's 100,000 centimeters, if you want to think about it that way. And for those of you who are curious, an inch is 2.54 centimeters, a little over 2.5 centimeters. There are also different, well, smaller and bigger measurements out there. It's not just millimeter, centimeter, meter, or kilometer. But right now, these are the only ones that you really need to concern yourself with. Choose the most appropriate unit to measure each length. Write millimeter, centimeter, meter, or kilometer. Width of a donut. So, how big is a donut? You can usually hold a donut in one hand, right? Can you hold a meter in one hand? I mean, if you balance it really well, sure. But usually, you can't. Can you hold a kilometer? A kilometer is bigger than a meter, so no. A donut you can hold in your hand. And for reference, the standard adult hand is, the hand span of an adult is, for females, it's 20 centimeters. For males, it's slightly bigger. Of course, this is an average. There are things, outliers, that don't conform to this average. Width of a donut. Now, millimeter, you've seen how small a centimeter is. 10 millimeters make up a centimeter. Last time I checked, donuts weren't that small. So, it's best measured in centimeters. Okay, guys, if you live in certain places, centimeter might be spelled like this. And by certain places, I mean Canada. Because the Canadians have both, well, they're bilingual. The country's official languages are French and English. And in French, meter is spelled M-E-T-R-E, mètre. So, oh gosh, it sounds a lot like the verb to put now that I think of it. Okay, anyhow, pencils. Pencils, well, they're slightly bigger than your hand. Actually, no, that depends on what grade you're in and how big your hand is. But they're usually around that size. And since you guys are in grade 3, it should be slightly bigger than your hand. Unless you have really big hands. And a meter is longer than the average arm. And last time I checked, pencils were shorter than that. So pencils are also something to be measured with centimeters. Centimètres, whatever you want to call it. The distance from Seattle, Washington to Atlanta, Georgia. If you aren't American and you don't know where these are, pull up a map of America. Let's just leave it at they're basically across the country from each other. And unless you're a micronation, micronations exist. They're complicated. But usually, if you're at one end of a country and where you're trying to get to is at the other end of the country, that's more than a kilometer. In fact, usually, if you want to think about how long a kilometer is, think about when you go out with your family in a car. Usually, on the average road, if it's a highway, then that's different. A kilometer would take around a minute of car traveling. If it was on a highway, though, then it might be half a minute. So yeah, a kilometer isn't short. But the United States is not small either. So the distance from Seattle, Washington to Atlanta, Georgia is best measured in kilometers. The size of a fruit fly. Now flies are usually a little over a centimeter. But fruit flies are those annoying little black dots that whiz around and like bananas and fruits, basically. Yeah, those things, they're annoying, first of all, and second of all, they're tiny. As in, if you look at them and they're literally 30 centimeters away from your face, they will still just look like a dot. That's millimeter material right there. The height of a room. Oh, yeah, a room. Now, the average height of an adult varies from country to country. Some countries have taller people. Some countries have shorter people. But a room from floor to ceiling is usually taller than a person. And most people are taller than a meter. Yeah. So usually the height of a room is measured in meters. In fact, I can guarantee you that it's going to be measured in meters. Wait, unless it's a dollhouse room. Like a dollhouse room, it's going to be measured in centimeters. But an actual room that a person stands in, it's not going to get to kilometer height because not even the Eiffel Tower is a kilometer, and that thing's tall. No offense to the French. Distance from one end of Russia to another. Russia is the biggest country. The biggest country in this world. And it's not the biggest country, as in it's not a circle-ish country. It's long. So yeah, that's kilometer material. If you're wondering, well, hot air balloons usually travel at 5 kilometers an hour, so actually no, hot air balloons travel at the speed of the wind. But hot air balloons travel at 5 kilometers an hour wind, usually, because that's the best time for hot air balloons to travel. And that would be 12 minutes to reach a kilometer. Yeah, kilometers are not short. Period. Now, we continue. Circle the best estimate. Height of a mushroom. Okay, why? Why though? But why? Anyhow, fun fact, one of the few things, well actually no, you actually learn a lot of things, but one of the first things that you learn about fungus, which is the classification that mushrooms are in grade 12, or maybe grade 11, but depends on which country you're in, is that mushrooms themselves are pretty small, but the entire thing is kind of big. Anyhow, there's 5 millimeters, which is about this much, the part that's sticking out. 5 centimeters, which is, oh, that's a little bit too much, about this. And 5 meters. 1 meter is this much already, so imagine 5 of those. Think of the store-bought mushrooms, like those little button mushrooms. They're pretty small. They're like 3-4 centimeters. So the best estimate would be around 5 centimeters. The length of a tabletop. That depends on the size of your table, first of all. But I can assuredly tell you, if you are trying to, you personally, as a human being, or if you aren't a human being, as a over 1 meter sized personnel, or if you're smaller than that, but anyhow, most tables, but for humans, we don't count aliens, they're not this small. They're also not a kilometer large either. It is perfectly respectable and fine and normal to have a tabletop that's a meter long. Oh, distance from Sofia, Bulgaria to Kiev, Ukraine. These are 2 different countries, first of all. Second of all, these 2 countries don't even share a border. Like, they don't share a border. So, it's definitely not 1,000 centimeters, because 100 centimeters is a meter, and that's just 10 meters. 10 meters is... So imagine a meter as taking a very big step. Very, very big step. Because grade 3s, the average height of grade 3s isn't that tall. And 1,000 meters is 1 kilometer. I can assuredly tell you that usually it doesn't take a minute of car travel to go across 1 country. Because there's at least 1 country between Bulgaria and Ukraine. I feel more like a geography teacher now. But fun fact, the distance from Sofia, Bulgaria, which is the capital, yes, I know, the capital of Bulgaria is called Sofia. It's, well, something that most people don't name their children, but hey. Capitals, if you want to name your child after a capital, here's a name-friendly capital right here. To Kiev, Ukraine, it's actually a little over 1,000 kilometers. Yay! Let's move on to problem solving. Oh no. Oh no, it's this one. It's the I don't like it, first of all. Guess and check. You can use this. Try not to use it though, because it takes a lot of time. However, if you have no idea what you're doing as in the question, you just stare at it and you're like, how am I supposed to do this? Then you could do it. You could use guess and check. But please make an educated guess. Like, don't just guess random numbers. Find a range for the numbers that you are guessing. Anyhow, Harley is making meringues. She can make 20 meringues with one large egg white. If she has 7 eggs, how many meringues can she make? Well, what do we know? We know how many meringues she can make with one large egg white, and we know that she has 7 eggs. What do we need to find? We need to find how many meringues she can make. You can use the guess and check strategy. It would go something like this. Can she make 20? She has more than 1 egg, so she can make 20, but that's not the maximum amount she can make. Can she make 40? Well, 40 would take 2 eggs, so no, please, just 7 times 20, for goodness sakes. For goodness sakes! Anyhow, multiplication by 10, if you remember, it's just you ignore the 0, you multiply the stuff that isn't 0. 2 times 7 is 14. Remember your multiplication tables, children. And then you add the 0. And you get 140 meringues. That's a lot of meringues. Look back at the problem and check our calculations. First of all, our calculations are correct. Second of all, did we get our facts straight? Harley's making meringues. She can make 20 meringues with 1 large egg white. If she has 7 eggs, how many meringues can she make? Our facts are well, correct, so yeah. Okay, guess and check. I'm going to continue about guess and check because this is what the section is about. It's useful when you have no other choice. As in, you look at the question, you understand what the question is asking you, but you don't know how to solve it. That is when you can go ahead and use guess and check. If you have any idea how to do it, though, don't. I know that I say that I don't like guess and check. I have, in fact, used guess and check before. There was this one question, back when I was sometime in high school, I think. It was in a math contest. I looked at the question. It was one of the questions near the end, so it was difficult, and I was like, how am I supposed to solve this? But they gave us multiple choice. So I ended up guessing and checking with the multiple choice answers that we had. So, it's not a completely useless strategy, unlike acted out, which is only good for preliminary or beginning understanding. But try not to use it if you know what you're doing. Okay? Good. Here are the metric units of capacity. Now usually, for everyday life, you use milliliters and liters to measure capacity. There is, however, the kiloliter, which is for, well, really big things that have high capacity, which means they can hold a lot. Anyhow, we start with the milliliter. 1 milliliter. That's basically the smallest measurement you end up getting. Well, no, there is a nanobits, but like, for everyday life, this is around the smallest you could get. And its short form is lowercase m, capital L. 1,000 milliliters is equal to 1 liter. And 1,000 liters is equal to a kiloliter. The cup to milliliter conversion is different in different countries. I've heard that the British cup is different from the American cup. And I've also heard things such as the American cup is 238 point something milliliters, or something around that. But usually, at least where I grew up, you would look at a cup and you would think 250 milliliters. So it's different from country to country, and it gets pretty hectic. Now, here's the thing. This is just like meters and centimeters, because in a certain country, cough cough Canada, it's spelled like this. Again, it's probably because the Canadians have French as one of their official languages, and they just decided that they weren't going to switch around the spelling continuously for the two languages that they have as official languages. Now, which unit would you use to measure the capacity of each? A swimming pool. Swimming pools have an amazing amount of water in them. So, okay. As an example, an Olympic-sized swimming pool has around 2,500 kiloliters. But that's an Olympic-sized swimming pool. So let's just say a regular swimming pool. It's probably going to be in kiloliters too. Kiloliter. Now what about a toilet bowl? Now, guys, if you want to think about how big a liter is, usually the standard water bottle, like the standard plastic water bottle, is around 500 milliliters. So two of the standard plastic water bottles, not talking about the big ones, not talking about the small ones, the standard ones, two of them is a liter. A toilet bowl contains more than that. But it's not quite to the point of kiloliters, so it's actually not to the point of kiloliters at all, but cough. Liter. A spoonful of cough syrup. Now, if you've ever drank cough syrup, at least in my day, there were these little cups that it came with, and it said how many tablespoons, how many tablespoons, how many tablespoons. In case you haven't noticed, those cups are kind of small. They're like this big. And a liter is much more than that. Actually, 500 milliliters is a water bottle, and that's around this big, so it's measured in milliliters. Oh dear. Now remember, guys, milliliter has 3 L's. I know, if you mess that up a few times when you're just learning, usually your teacher will cut you some slack, but by the time you get into a certain grade, you either just don't write the full thing and just write the short form, or you spell it right. Anyhow, circle the best estimate to complete each sentence. A tablespoon holds about, okay guys, the standard tablespoon. This is one thing that you need to learn. A teaspoon is usually said to be 5 milliliters. A tablespoon is usually said to be 15 milliliters. Unlike whoever decided to change around the cups size for different countries. I don't know who decided that was a good idea, but, well, it makes conversion pretty difficult. A tablespoon holds about 15 milliliters. A soda can holds, okay guys, a soda can is around this much. 100 milliliters is not that much, admittedly. And, well, 3,000 milliliters is 3 liters. Most of the times, those really big bottles, the plastic bottles, are 2 liters. So a soda can is more so around here. Where I live, this is the standard size of the soda can. 355 milliliters. A kitchen sink holds about, amazingly enough, kitchen sinks actually hold a lot. And just for your information, a single kitchen sink, not the double sinks, we don't count the double sink, a single kitchen sink holds about 35 liters. Half of this is trivia, but another half of it is showing you about how much a liter and milliliters are. Next section, more problem solving. Except this time it's choosing a strategy. Yay, we can do whatever we want. Hannah, or Hannah, however you pronounce that name, pretty sure it's Hannah, wants 16 liters of water in a cooler. That's awfully specific, but she has a 10-liter bottle and a 4-liter bottle. How can she use them to measure exactly 16 liters? Okay, here's the thing. What do you know? You know that she wants 16 liters, she has a 4-liter bottle and a 10-liter bottle. What do we need to know? How she can measure 16 liters. Like, how? So the process. Here's the thing. This is a specific type of question. And this type of question, it's literally used to confuse people who have never seen this type of question or aren't used to thinking this way. Here's how you do it. You have 10 liters and 4 liters. You fill the 10-liter bottle and then you pour water into the 4-liter bottle, which means that you take 4 liters out of 10 liters, and that gives you 6 liters. So you have a 10-liter bottle with 6 liters of water in it. Yep, water, not juice. And you also have a 10-liter bottle. So you pour out the 6 liters of water into the cooler, and then you get another 10 liters and pour it into the cooler. And that's 6 plus 10 equals to 16. The process would be to fill 10-liter bottle, 10L, capital L, bottle, pour into 4L bottle to get 6L, which is just 6 liters. Get another bottle full of 10 liters. And 6 plus 10 is 16. That's the actual way to do this. Now, is the solution reasonable? Reread the problem. How can you check your answer? Well, you check your answer to this type of problem by running it through your mind again and see if it makes sense. Don't actually go out and get a 10-liter and 4-liter bottle. Don't. Anyhow, reread the problem to make sure you got all your numbers correct. Hannah wants 16 liters of water in a cooler. She has a 10-liter bottle and a 4-liter bottle. How can she use them to measure exactly 16 liters? Yep. Well, our numbers are correct. So let's go and do some practice problems. Oh dear. George has a 9-ounce cup and a 14-ounce cup. If you forgot what an ounce was, it's an imperial measurement for capacity. How can he use the cups to measure 19 ounces of water? Well, in case you haven't noticed, 14 minus 9 is 5. And 5 plus 14 is 19. So, fill 14-ounce cup, pour into 9-ounce cup, take remaining 5 ounces and get another 14 ounces from the 14-ounce cup. That's how. Okay? James, Sid, Kevin, and Pete have cheese pizza, turkey sandwich, ham sandwich, and beef quesadilla for lunch. Pete has a dairy allergy. Kevin does not eat beef. Sid has a turkey sandwich. What lunch does each child have? Okay, so Pete, lovely child over here, has a dairy allergy. Quesadillas have cheese. Fun fact. So, cheese pizza, turkey sandwich, ham sandwich, beef quesadilla. Add another B and it becomes barbecue. Anyhow, Pete has a dairy allergy, so he can't eat these two. I'm technically making a table right now. You could do this without using a table and just use logical reasoning. But a table makes it more organized, and it also shows your thought process to the teacher, so that's why I'm using it. Kevin. Does not eat beef. Sid has a turkey sandwich. And James is just unknown. So since Sid has a turkey sandwich, then Pete cannot have a turkey sandwich. Neither can Kevin. And now, Pete only has the option of having a ham sandwich. So Kevin can't have a ham sandwich either. And then we get that Kevin has to have the cheese pizza. So James is left with the beef quesadilla. Okay, Pete has the ham sandwich. Who's next? Kevin has the cheese, pizza, Sid has the turkey, sandwich, and remember to give yourself enough space when you're actually writing this. And James has the beef quesadilla. Okay, moving on to the next section. Metric units of mass. Mass and weight are not the same thing. They are not. You will learn the difference sometime, probably in high school science. But for now, if you're on Earth, then chances are you can consider them the same thing. But they are not, and if you're anywhere that isn't on Earth, I'm sorry, aliens or people that live on the moon, if you happen to live on the moon, or Mars, because people are thinking of whether or not we can colonize Mars. I'm sorry. They are not the same. If you're on Earth, though, they're similar enough so that in grade 3 you can consider them to be basically the same. Mass is the amount of matter in an object. In the metric system, units of mass are the gram and the kilogram. Now, if you haven't figured it out yet, kilo, every time this thing pops up, like kilometer or kilometer, kiloliter, it's just times 1,000. And what would you know? 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. Of course, there's smaller units of mass, weight, whatever you want to call it at the moment, since you guys are in grade 3, so there's not that big of a difference, such as milligram. But, well, right now, because you are in grade 3, you just use gram and kilogram. Of course, there's also the metric ton, which is 1,000 kilograms, but we aren't dealing with that yet. Choose the most appropriate unit to measure each mass. Write gram or kilogram with adult human. Now, the majority of adult humans, in fact, baby humans, that sentence sounded more awkward than it should have been, but baby humans, they're more than a kilogram. Well, no, unless it's quintuplets or a lot of kids at once, like sextuplets, quintuplets, quadruplets. Those, they might be. Or even triplets. They might be only a kilo. But they should be more. As in, if it's just a single child in the womb, like they're not twins or anything. In fact, I'm pretty sure even twins are more than a kilogram at birth. But babies, the standard baby is more than a kilogram. Adult humans are heavier than babies, in case you haven't noticed. So, kilogram. A can of soda, though, should be in grams. Because, guys, 1 liter of water is a kilogram. This is something very interesting that you end up learning. At least, when I started learning about this, I was told that a liter of water is around a kilogram. It's true, by the way. An orange. Now, how heavy is an orange? It's not that heavy. So you should probably measure it in grams. Watermelons, on the other hand, are heavy. They're very heavy. They're quite heavy. Unless you're talking about those small, tiny watermelons. I'm talking about the normal size watermelons, okay? Okay, the standard watermelon. Like you think of a watermelon, and I'm quite sure that most people, when they think of a watermelon, don't think of the small ones. They think of the big ones. These are kilograms. Best measured in kilograms. A coin, though, coins are light. You can hold them on one finger. Chances are you aren't able to hold a kilogram on one finger, unless you have very, very strong fingers, and you trained yourself to be able to do this. Gram. Bookshelves, on the other hand, have you ever tried to lift a bookshelf? First of all, don't do that. It's very dangerous, because it could topple over and, well, it won't be pretty. Let's just leave it there. But, yeah, they're heavy, so kilograms. Moving on, draw a line to match each object and its mass. So 1 liter of water. What did I say? A liter of water is around a kilo. Work boots. Those things are heavy. Work boots, those things are heavy. So, while everything else is less than 100 grams, so it's around 2 kilograms. A bag of chips, as in one of those small baggies, those are usually around 30. In fact, where I come from, they're usually 20-something grams. A napkin, napkins are very light. 2 grams. Now, usually the standard example for a gram, like 1 single gram, is the weight of a paperclip. But then again, paperclips can be very large, so. Anyhow, chicken egg. A large chicken egg, actually no, not even a large chicken egg. A chicken egg is around 50 grams. Unless it's a jumbo-sized chicken egg, then it's more. But the average chicken egg is around 50 grams. Anyhow, moving on. Metric unit conversions. Convert metric units. So the metric system is based on tens, which means that there's some pretty obvious patterns, such as a kilogram being 1,000 grams, a liter being 1,000 milliliters, and a meter being 100 centimeters. Now, circle the amount that makes each sentence true. Oh, 9,000 centimeters. Well, 100 centimeters is a meter. So 9,000 centimeters. How many hundreds is that? It's 90 hundredths, because 100 has 2 zeros, and if you want to divide by 100, you just cross out 2 zeros. And you get 90 meters. Oh yes, by the way, centi is 100. Because centipede, it means 100 legs. 100 legs. Although centipedes don't actually have 100 legs. Now, 8 meters. A meter is 100 centimeters. 8 times 100, you just plop on 2 zeros and you get 800. C, 800 centimeters. 6 kilograms. Now kilograms, kilo, 1,000. So 6 kilograms would be 6 1,000 grams, which is 6,000 grams. 3,000 milliliters. Milli is also 1,000. Millipede. It means 1,000 legs. Of course, millipedes don't have 1,000 legs. So 3,000 milliliters would be, how many thousands is 3 thousandths? 3, so that's 3 liters. 6 liters. How many milliliters are in a liter? Well, 1,000. So 6 1,000ths is 6,000 milliliters. B. Convert each unit to a smaller unit or larger unit. 500 centimeters to meters. 100 centimeters is equal to 1 meter. So 500 centimeters is equal to 5 meters. 9 kilograms to grams. 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. 9 kilograms would be equal to 9,000 grams. You don't actually need the comma, by the way. 3 liters equals to how many milliliters? Well, 1 liter equals to 1,000 milliliters. So 3 liters would be equal to 3,000 milliliters. 8 meters equals to however many centimeters. Well, 1 meter equals to 100 centimeters. So 8 meters would be equal to 800 centimeters. 2,000 grams equals to how many kilograms? 1,000 grams equals to 1 kilogram. So 2,000 grams equals to 2 kilograms. 4,000 milliliters equals to how many liters? 1,000 milliliters equals to 1 liter. So 4,000 milliliters equals to 4 liters. That's it for metric units, guys. See you next chapter.